Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to do a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Tim. Hey Bryan, I know you checked out the Hirsch Effekt before, but I'd really like to see a reaction analysis of this very special live performance. Thanks for the content. It's interesting. This track is called Kollaps, and we literally just listened to a track called Kollaps a couple of days ago. I think it was Thursday from the band Breach. If you're interested, you can find a link to that up there. So this is like a double whammy where I have heard a song called Kollaps before, and I have heard the band, the Hirsch Effekt, before. And I can't remember if we've done one or two reactions to them. I do know that I really loved the first time I heard them. Very just chaotic, energetic stuff. But I haven't had a chance to dive into their works proper yet. So, with that said, let's dive into this. This is the song Kollaps by Hagelslag featuring the Hirsch Effekt. Yeah, beautiful idea in the brass right there. Has that real nice drag in the rhythm to kind of shift things up. Beats 5 through 8 are real tough to discern given we shift to some really funky syncopated ideas in our bass and drums. Very ominous. It's been one huge buildup though, like I'm ready for this, the impact. I'm on the edge of my seat, let's bring it. Okay. 2 more bars, right? Lowest point of the song to the highest point. Another build up. Okay. I love those little, yeah, the 16th note embellishments and the horns. Y'all hear that trumpet over there? There's a really nice xylophone. Really cool putting the consonants over the dissonance. Yes. Oh, man. Wow. I don't know if you can see, like, it's starting to tear up a little bit. Um, yeah, that finale was. I mean, I've said before, I'm kind of envious of people who can get goosebumps from music, because I very rarely have like a physical response to music. A lot of it is just kind of mental and interior. You know, I can tell you my heart is racing, or you know, like I'm getting pumped up or whatever. Like, but I rarely have something that people can look at me and say like, you know, this dude's getting into it. Like he's feeling it. Um, but yeah, occasionally something will hit me and I'll just tear up. And that's, yeah, golly. I don't want to do an analysis. I just want to listen to it again. Just turn the camera off, end the video, and put that on loop a couple of times because there's so many good moments to that. I gotta calm down a little too. Like my heart is racing. Like that was tense. And then the finale though, just like the bright lights shining through the dark clouds kind of vibe, and just like I don't know what the lyrics are, um, but to me it has an air of make it through the dark days because there's always light on the other side kind of thing. You just got to make it through now to get to that moment where the dark clouds will part, right? There's always a better tomorrow. That's what the song feels like to me. And it's just so masterful at doing it because it dives into almost too much of the darkness. And I think that's the best part. And it kind of alludes to like no matter how dark things get, they will improve. This too shall pass. It just okay. So let's get into this. This is what you guys come around for, right? Like 90% of the people watch the reaction and turn the video off, and then there's like 10% that are like glued here for the analysis. Thank you all. Like I really enjoy doing this. Let's get into the analysis here. So, what is going on here? This is orchestral Hirsch Effekt, and I don't even know what genre to put them in because they're just a bonkers band. So we have some of their key elements that I know them for, which is dissonance, and rhythmically and melodically and harmonically. Just they're really big on dissonance. That is what I kind of attribute to them when I hear their name. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm in store for. We get that. The song starts off very gentle, lean into. We start with a little bit of beauty from our strings, some gorgeous chordal progressions that aren't super smooth. They're very gradual. Well, let me say they aren't rigid. They're gradual. It's not like one bar we're here, the next bar we're here. It moves every bar. It sort of gradually shifts where we have our three notes, and then our middle note will change, and then a little bit later our top note will change, and then our bottom note will change, and it's kind of this amorphous, flowing chord that moves one note at a time and gives us this really flowy transition through our progression. The drums come in not too far later. We also get some of the choir in at one point. Um, but most importantly is that we start with a lot of this beauty, right? There's a little bit of darkness to it, but overall it's a very beautiful opening. Our drums come in and introduce us to our rhythmic dissonance. There is a lot of playfulness and syncopation here that provides a rhythmically disjointed experience. Occasionally, especially once we kind of hit our first moment where our vocalist came in and things kind of leaned more into a loop rather than some of the more linear stuff that we explored in our intro, the drums gave us an 8 bar pattern or an 8 beat pattern where the first beats gave us all four on the beat. I don't remember what it was. I think it was hi hat on every beat. And then after that, I don't think we got a single one on the beat. It was either a little before, a little behind. Just created this super syncopated vibe. And I'd mentioned that during the reaction. It's really difficult on the back half of that pattern to lean into that meter into the pulse there because the drums are really the only people giving us that. The bass was also doing this, leaning into the drums rhythms. So you really have to have that really strong internal metronome to feel those 4 beats because nobody's really leaning into those at all. So there's some of our rhythmic dissonance. We got a little bit of the harmonic dissonance coming into it. Like I said, we had some darkness, we had some tension in our chords leading up into this first part. But for the most part, kind of a beautiful intro. There is a lot of darkness to it, though. Some of it deals with the tones of the instruments, but a lot of it, I think, is the note relationships and the chords that we're going through that just have this malevolent element to them. There's what word did I use during the reaction? Ominous? Is that what I said? Yeah, there's definitely something to be scared of on the horizon that our song introduces us into. Um, we had this really cool idea at the beginning. The French horn started it, and then I think the trumpets took it, and then trombones, maybe saxophones. I don't remember if there were saxophones. I don't remember seeing any, but the camera was all over the place. So, and I wasn't looking at the video half the time, anyways. Um, but yeah, like the horn started this lick and it was like four notes and they did it in one bar. They repeated in a second bar, but they held the last note. And then another instrument picked it up and did the lick. And then another instrument picked it up and did the lick. And it's just like, yeah, 100%. That is I love that idea. I don't know if it has a term. I mean, technically, if they continued on with the pattern, we'd call it a canon. But since the French horn stops on the second time, the first repetition of the lick, and nobody else repeats it, it's not a canon. It's just a passing off of an idea. Uh, but yeah, I love little things like that. There's so many little concepts that you can do with such a large group of instruments that they absolutely lean into it. It makes me wonder how this was composed. I notice it says Hagelslag featuring the Hirsch Effekt, which makes me think that this is the okay. So oh, I'm looking at a personnel list here. Hagelslag. We have a sound effects person, a tabla, Moog noise, which Moog is the organ, synths, Nord, tenor sax, and clarinet. So Hagelslag seems to be an eclectic band. It's on the smaller side. It's just 8 people, 7 people. Then we also have a choir, a string section, and a horn section. The string section had 2 violins and 2 cellos. The horn section was French horn, trumpet, and trombone. And then we had a 8-person choir. And then our 3 people from the Hirsch Effekt. So Hagelslag is a band who also happened to feature a string quartet, a horn trio, and a choir, and the Hirsch Effekt. This is a massive production. I don't see in here who composed this. There is a lot of elements to this, as I've already mentioned, that feel very Hirsch Effekt. But I don't have a point of reference for the other group, Hagelslag, and I'm going to wager that the strings, horn, and choir were brought in to perform the piece, not to help compose it. Just, oh wait, here we go. Arrangement is Tony Williams. It's an arrangement. Tony Williams is not anybody who performed. um, Tony Williams was not associated with any of the mixing, the mastering, the recording, or the filming. Who is Tony Williams? However, this is on. Oh, no. It is on. Okay, okay. I think I finally get it. The artist is listed as Hirsch Effekt and it's on an album of theirs, Gregir. And it's listed as Kollaps Orchestral version. So Kollaps is a track from the Hirsch Effekt that was arranged by Tony Williams for this much larger one. I think it's interesting then that it's Hagelslag Hagelslag featuring Hirsch Effekt if it's Hirsch Effekt's song. Anyways, now that I've got all that cleared up, kind of, um, we got to get back on track here because I got way turned around. I don't remember what topic I was on. Um, I'm also trying to get these lyrics translated at the same time. Okay, back on track here for real this time. There is an exceptionally large buildup here. We have our intro into the first vocal bit where we enter into our first bits of ostinatos and riffs and licks and just repeated ideas. We continue to build up elements and we do kind of reach some points of largeness. There are points where our guitars shift into overdrive, where our string and horn section go to probably about a fortissimo, which is F. It's kind of mid-range as far as volume, but it is on the louder side of mid-range. Um, and our choir always has a pretty wide sound to them. I like how our choir ends up doing chordal stuff underneath some of the more moving parts, but what I think works very well is that the choir doing the chords underneath the lead vocalist of Hirsch Effekt is just, it is texture sugar. It is so sweet. It sounds so good together, and I can't get enough of it. That analogy was not great. like audio sugar, audio candy. I don't know. It was just delicious. It was great. I don't know where I'm going with any of this song. Kind of broke my brain. There's a lot of awesomeness in it. Um, so, anyways, though we have a little bit of a build up. Like I said, we hit a point where everybody's kind of a bit louder, but we kind of bring it back down a little bit. I think this is verse, chorus, verse, chorus. I could be wrong. Very difficult to hear much of anything in here that was cyclical be outside of individual sections because I'd wager if we do have a verse, chorus, that the second verse and possibly the second chorus have variations, if not entirely different elements, played during them. The song feels linear, but follows a sort of verse chorus flow as far as dynamics go. Anyways, though, we have a little bit of ups and downs, and then we bottom out, right? It's just the lead vocalist, and then we get a little bit of strings under him. And I was talking about this part, and I was like, come on, bring it in, right? We have been sitting here for like 4 or 5 minutes with this tension, and that's exactly what it is, right? It's beautiful at points, it's dissonant at others, it is eerie throughout, but what it is from start to finish is tense. There isn't a single point when the tension has been fully released and dissipated. We've kind of alluded to a little bit of release, but it's never been complete. It's been a little bit of turning the knob so we can release a little bit of air pressure so it doesn't explode, but we don't let it actually release it all. And so we end up at this point, which is just masterfully done, where we build things back up and back up for like the third time. I'm like, just give me the sweet release, please. And yeah, we hit this massive point. But here's the cool thing is that we hit this big point. It feels not like release naturally. It feels like an unnatural release, like filling a balloon too far until it pops. And that's what the song does. We don't release the tension, we just let it go everywhere. The tension explodes. The dissonance is no longer an underlying characteristic to the music. It is now the core compositional technique. There is very, very little consonance being utilized here. Our strings are doing tremolo bowing with notes that do not fit together. So we're getting this really rapid shifting back and forth. So our attacks are rather abrasive, and the tones that are coming out of all these instruments combined is abrasive. Right? There's a massive darkness being utilized in the notes that are kind of forming chordal ideas. Um, it's not too long after this that we switch out of our clean vocals and introduce our other bassist doing the harsh vocals. And this was a really nice tip as well. This looked like a pretty general recording studio. The drums were off in a different room, um, and it looked like it was pretty good for acoustics. But they also had it rigged up to light it like a music video, which that's just that's the little bit of extra oomph that I think you can expect from this group. Um, but yeah, we shift away from a lot of uh, suspended tone, just sort of hovering over everything and just kind of existing, to a lot of really rigid attacks coming from the whole band. These sharp accents on downbeats all over the place. You could even see it in the percussion line in the back, and the pianist in the back. I thought it was awesome. Everybody else is pretty chill. The strings, the horns, the choir, and then you got these two kids in the back. One was on piano. I don't remember what the other one was playing, and they're just like just headbanging while playing the piano. No one else is doing it. Give them credit for that. I would be too. Like that is a massive, heavy section, and it's just so cathartic to get into. But like I said, it's an interesting catharsis because we haven't gotten away from the tension. It's just become too much. This is like when you become overly stressed. This is the opposite of doing yoga. This is hitting the point where you can't take it anymore and you scream at strangers or your boss, right? You let it out on whoever, put that last little piece on your stress pile and toppled the whole thing over. And that's what this feels like. It is dark, it is heavy, it is aggressive, it is angsty. We end up bringing a second pair or a second harsh vocalist in here for this phenomenal vocal texture. The choir has shifted from this nice, kind of quieter range, very comfortable range of singing. So there is proper air support, but not a lot of volume at our beginning. And now our choir is just massive. We're hitting these high notes, we're hitting these lower notes, and it's just creating this wall of sound around the rest of the music, trying to keep this tension in because the choir is within itself not really dissonant. It is dissonant against the rest of the band, but it is trying to keep everything contained, right? And I think this is very cool as well. Um, and like, as soon as I thought it couldn't get heavier, right, the second vocalist comes in and just like we get those really weird piano notes. They're like he's slamming his hand down on these keys, and it is just like these atonal sounds, and they just sound so gnarly. Um, it's just, and then it fades out. And we get this really beautiful consonant string idea to wrap the song up. And it really does feel like just building of stresses or darkness or weight, whatever thing could weigh you down, could provide that negativity until the worst moment imaginable, and still finding beauty on the other side of that. It's a beautiful song. I'm uh I'm gonna hit some lyrics and we'll see what they say, and we'll try to tie this together and then wrap it up. Yeah, the lyrics As far as I can tell, well, as far as I remember, end before we hit that break and shift over to that really beautiful um, string line. Complete tonal shift at that point. So all these lyrics should be, I believe, during the heavier part of the song, the heavier 98% of the track. And it's definitely about somebody who feels at their lowest point. The very first line is nothing can see me or hear me. It says on the top of loneliness here at the edge of the world. I understand it that here at the top, he's looking around him. It says there's clearing, there's depletion, there's collapse, there's decay. Could be talking about within, could be talking about without. He says so much effort for what? Interestingly, here at the end, it says, in front of the shore lies neither barge nor boat ready for me. God forbid, can I trust my spirit? Don't you dare dock here. Almost as if saying, I'm at my lowest point, don't try to help me up, right? There's nothing here, to help me. Assuming he wants to get out, of this land, you would need a boat. Otherwise, you're swimming, right? And doesn't own a boat. Was hoping someone else had one, right? It says, don't you dare dock here. Don't try to help me from this. And that's it. That's how it ends. So there could be two takes on this. Standing at the top of the world, on the edge of the world, as he states. He says, don't try to help me. And then there's a moment of silence followed by beauty. My interpretation was that this was the darkest moment, and then a single beam shines through, and then the clouds dissipate, and there's sunshine, and there's beauty now, right? You got through your darkest time, and now, it's a reminder that there's always another day. But given the lyrics, it's almost as if he decided to take his life and found beauty on the other side. Can I trust my spirit? Might be reading into that one, but puts a very dark twist on it. Very different from my interpretation of just the music, but certainly a read of it. Those are my thoughts on Kollaps by the Hirsch Effekt. The orchestral version featuring Hagelslag and some more people. String trio, string quartet, horn trio, and a choir. I wish I could credit everybody right here. It's a lot of people to credit though, but they do have it all in the description, and I always include the link to the video in my description, so you can go there and see everyone who participated in this fantastic. This is like a series. This is D Room Sessions Volume 16 from Hagelslag Studios. They have worked with multiple people. What is Volume 17? Featuring Timmy Ocean. Volume 9 features Wezin. I don't know. I have to go check this out and see what's up. I really enjoyed the production on this. Maybe just check out all these. Anyways, my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of this track. Down in the comments section, you can let me know if you enjoyed it or not, anything that stood out to you, anything you'd like to add on to what I stated or correct me on. Above the comments, if you could head into the description box, and in there is a link for Linktree. Takes you to this menu right here, has links for everything related to me and the channel. You can find my music, a link to the Discord community server, a link to multiple ways to support the server or support the channel, and so much more. Just go ahead and there check that out. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three. We have one more special selection today. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow, continuing on with last week's theme and kind of this week's theme, first and last. We're going to be looking at a track off of a band's first album, and then Wednesday, we'll check out a track off of that same band's latest album. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.